So we have some breaking news that we need to go over. This is going to impact us here in the United States and many countries abroad. And I want to be very clear on this. What happened today is exactly what we were afraid of. Now, make sure you stick around for this entire video because I'm going to explain what happened today and why this is going to have some negative consequences moving forward. So again, all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So what exactly happened earlier on today? Well, what happened today was Israel gave the United States and other sources some key information. I want to show you what they said. Look at this. Israeli military say it mistakenly killed 3 hostages in Gaza. 3 people. Israel was supposed to do whatever they could to save the people, save hostages, not cause additional loss of life to civilians in Gaza. That is exactly what President Biden has been asking for, is for more protection. And now, this comes out. This is huge. This is breaking news. This is massive. Because right now, Israel's on that, they're very fine line. And they're on the verge of either getting more support or seeing less support from the world. Not just the United States. It's from the world. This is why it's a big deal. Because we are seeing civilians displaced. We're seeing thousands of people on the verge of, well, not just poverty. They have nothing. Thousands of people are going days without food, without water, and without any possible health care. Nothing. They just don't have it. Look at this. It says, we have the right to live. Starvation, disease, and winter chill threaten the survival of displaced civilians in Gaza. This is a huge concern. And this is something that too many people have been saying for the past couple of months is, yes, Israel has a right to defend itself, but they have to do it carefully. At this time, they are not being very careful. One thing that I can tell you is what experts are worried about. Experts are extremely worried that Israel could soon flood the Gaza tunnels. And if they decide to flood the Gaza tunnels, the expectation is, yes, it's going to push many of these Hamas militants out of hiding, but at the same time, Hamas is going to be worried about themselves, not about their hostages. So if hostages are in these tunnels, we are not just going to see Israeli military come out and say, yeah, we accidentally killed 3 hostages. No, that number could easily be 10 times that, if not more. That's the concern, that at this time, Israel is not worried about hostages. That's what experts are telling us. But here's something else. Israel, and this happened just yesterday, Israel's telling the United States that its current phase of this heavy fighting is likely to finish out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is according to 2 U.S. officials. But I want to read you what President Biden had to say just yesterday. Because again, this is going to last about 2 to 3 weeks. But there's something that President Biden wants to see over these next 2 to 3 weeks. If he doesn't, there's a good chance any support that the United States was going to give to Israel will likely be pulled back. So let's go ahead and read this right here. It says, the U.S. has been urging Israel to do more to protect civilians as it conducts its offensive. Earlier this week, President Biden warned that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government was losing international support due to indiscriminate bombing in the densely populated region. And on Thursday, during a visit to the National Institutes of Health, the president was asked if he wants Israel to scale back its offensive. Here's what he had to say. He says, I want them to be focused on how to save civilian lives, not stop going after Hamas, but to be more careful. That's what he had to say. Says the Biden administration has been facing mounting criticism for its response to the war, including the U.S.'s refusal to call for a new ceasefire. The White House and Netanyahu have argued that any new truce would allow Hamas militants to regroup. And that is true. According to multiple experts, they are saying we cannot agree to a new ceasefire, and even agreeing to the ceasefire initially, this actually caused Hamas to gain more power. And this is something that Israel now has to pay the price for, but we knew it was going to happen. The goal was to get women and children out, those hostages, get them out. We needed them back. Now that we got them back, next stop, or the next plan is to get the rest of the women. I believe there's about 20. The rest of the children, there's less than 5. And then obviously there's still men, and I believe to the tune of about 150 people. So again, a lot of people are still being held captive. But the worry right now is Israel's losing support from many countries. President Biden has been the one constant where he's always been there. He's always been supportive. Even though he doesn't agree with what Benjamin Netanyahu has been doing, he has been supportive. Here's the issue now. President Biden is now being pushed into a corner. Being that Israel came out and said that they mistakenly killed 3 people, 3 civilian hostages. This is a concern because now not only are they taking out Hamas militants, they're also in the process, they're hurting civilians. And now they just took the lives of 3 people, 3 hostages that they were attempting to get back. So the concern right now is Israel's doing too much, but they also say there's 2 to 3 weeks left of this intense heavy fighting. And then things will go back to more of a normal war. But again, I bring this up because world leaders are asking for a change, asking for a ceasefire. And at this time, if we are already seeing Israel do too much, they're taking lives of the innocent, which they have been for the past 2 months. If we continue to see this for the next 2 to 3 weeks, my expectation is that lawmakers would not pass any additional legislation for Israel. All that money, that $14.3 billion, is not going to go to Israel. That instead is going to go to Ukraine. So expect that to happen. And once we start to see more and more updates on these mistakenly killed people, the problem is the American people are going to push back on their representatives and tell them we need to see a ceasefire. We need to see more action from our federal government. And if we don't, there's a chance those people will not vote for whoever's currently in office. And again, remember, we got less than 1 year, and we will have a new or another election, and possibly a new president, a new majority in the Senate, possibly even a new majority in the House. Things could flip very easily, and this is what lawmakers are worried about. So, just wanted to fill you in on what's going on at this time. That is what we know. So again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.